think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, wait, I'm here. Who wanted to fight with me? Who?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, another beautiful day to be able to talk this boxing talk, man. And we are 48 hours away. Hence, first 48 before the People's Champ takes on the Ohio native and fellow friend Albert Bell, who's looking to try to confiscate his strap, the lightweight WBO strap that is. And hopefully the young man won't be unstrapped like Xander. But I have great feelings about this fight, man, and I want to salute the People's Champ, my fighter of the year last year. He's rising. He has not went out with all the wrinkles. He's humble. He takes criticism very well. He just go in there and make adjustments and still get the job done. He don't let the media influence him, man. He don't have a cult-like fan base, man. He's just a breath of fresh air, man, moving away. We want all of these guys in the sport to be able to move. So, I like Albert Bell. He's very sharp. And we'll get into that. That's just the meat and potatoes. That is the meat and potatoes. And I could go on a rant, but I'm sure a lot of the things that's been on my mind about boxing, it will probably, more than likely, definitely will surface throughout this boxing conversation. Cookie Monster, Bodywork, mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding crystal clear. Thank you, dear. And I really needed that mic check. I really need you to listen and hear and see if I sound robotic or whatever. I went back to my other mic, because the new mic, it was sounding kind of funky to me. I'm very critical. So I went back to my original mic, the mic that I had that I've been rocking out with. Just want to make sure that the levels are crystal clear because, man, I'm a stickler and I'm one of my harshest critics. AC is in the building. How you feel, AC?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm really enjoying this fight, and that's part of the meat and potatoes and stuff like that. Yeah, I could go into a rant about some of the other nonsense that's going on, but I'm just gonna keep that behind me. Not even dip my toe in that type of water because I feel that's the kiddie pool. And a grown-ass man like me ain't got no business in the kiddie pool with all the kids. So that's not where I look to go to, when it get real hot, and I'm trying to cool myself off. So outside of that, yeah, just like I just text you, I just wanted to know, and that sometimes I think would makes a difference between a lot of different things. I just wanted to know, what would an all-American, only American fighter pound for pound list look like? And then if you're gonna do that, Are you gonna base it on accolades, soup or salad, or you're gonna base it on accolades and who's going to get the smoke, who's running towards the smoke? If you base it on accolades, soup and salad, yeah, it's gonna be filled with, you know, all the guys that everybody's telling you are the best and yada yada yada, and you're gonna overlook some other guys, or you may put them further down and be struggling to figure out where they belong. And that's not the way I'm choosing to approach it. I'm looking to approach it as, okay, all you guys that are playing games and playing playing the catch weight games and all of that kind of stuff, you're going to go down at the bottom of my list, because obviously you're not running towards the smoke. You're not doing an Abdullah Mason. You're not doing, David Benavidez or Collazo or some of these other guys. So you're going to go down at the bottom. And if there's anybody else that's a strong honorable mention that may only have 2 divisions under their belt, or may have 3 divisions under their belt, but still haven't gotten the opportunity to get a belt, I'm sorry, but those are the guys I'm gonna put ahead of you, bro. Because the pound for pound fighter don't ask for catch weights. Pound for pound fighters don't, come out and say, certain things. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can't cook one person on one thing and then turn around and have 3 or 4 fucking stars that you said, yeah, these are the guys, but they're in the same vein as doing what this guy just did. The guy you said don't want to fight nobody and don't want to do all of this other stuff. So
you dipping into part of the housekeeping, man. That's number 2.
Oh, so let me back out.
And I ain't even see. No, I wanted you to say it because I ain't send it to you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
yeah, exactly.
It's good.
So I'm just saying, like, I can't put you in that space. You feel what I'm saying? I have to put the originator, because around the originator there's context. Around you, it's just no context. It's just you just want to do it because he did it. Okay, but you're one of the people who complain. So shut the fuck up and do something different. Show me that you really built different and make him look bad off of your moves. That's not what they're doing. So my pound for pound list is a lot harder, and it's going to require a hell of a lot more research than I originally thought. I got the top 5, and there are some guys you could put in different orders. You know what I'm saying? I was struggling between where I had basically O'Shaq and Bam. I mean O'Shaq and Gary. It's like both of you are there, but I don't know which way to put you. Both of you carry losses, but both of you still running towards the smoke. The only reason why I gave O'Shaq this slight edge is because he's been consistent in his energy. Gary, there's this little question about you based on some of the things you try to say about Shakur, and I did not like the fact that you felt you wanted to get in that mix. So that's the only thing. And I gave you, like in gymnastics, 1/10 of a point, and that 1/10 of a point put you in the 5th position. So that's it. And I'm nitpicking to make sure that, for me, if I'm going to talk about this, it's solid. But I think there's some legs to that.
It's wild because I heard somebody. I had the privilege of being able to hear somebody, and that's why I said the other day, man, I gotta salute you, because nitpicking, like now nitpicking is like a bad thing. It's like, but in every other sport, like when people do their analytics and they break stuff down, they nitpick. Like it gotta be something that separates something from one person from somebody else. In basketball, it could very well come down to your free throw percentage.
Yeah.
That's the difference between sometimes in one breath, that was the difference between a prime Dwight Howard and a Shaq. It might have came down, depending on what year you were looking at, it might have came down to the free throws. Like, and that's nitpicking. That's how it's not, you wouldn't be denying Shaq of greatness, but now we in boxing pussy ass conversations now to where people, it's just wild, man. And one of the other things is the loss thing. see, people shy away from putting people on there because they be wanting people to not have losses. Like pound for pound don't mean that you don't have no losses.
Yeah.
And more and more I'm starting to more and more subscribe to Crusher's definition. So that's why I did a pound for pound for 2 years ago, right? That shit still standing supreme. I might have to change the order, and maybe it might be one new person on there. But if I was to post my pound for pound list when I was doing it 2 years ago, I might have to change the order of things and maybe add one other name, and it will still be the same. Why? Because at the end of the day, the guys that are showing like pound for pound level of skills, and when you weigh in competition, because
Yeah.
not that you're number two, but your number two, like your number two, he ain't on nobody's because he's inactive. I'm like, well, is he really inactive? Like, I mean, yeah, he's been out of the ring for a little bit, but like at the same time, you can't deny the resume. If he's still like, he's not retired, he's not in a bud category. So I could see why somebody wouldn't have, like, you had to take a retired guy off, and and when I was doing it, I wasn't putting heavyweights on there. I thought that it should be a top 10 heavyweights, or it should be a pound for pound list plus one, which is like your best heavyweight. But
Yeah.
people like, because of the draw, people just wiped him out. Like, he didn't. I was arguing with a fool the other day, and that'll be going into my number two. But let's get into the housekeeping, because it's going to lead there. It's going to go there.
Yeah, for sure.
If I didn't know Jesus, I wouldn't know the devil. Hey, in some ways, that's proverbially, theoretically, fun, cool, salute. That's bars. I mean, theoretically, you know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't know what paradise was, you really wouldn't know what hell would be, or purgatory. Like, I mean, yeah, man, we're getting philosophical. You know what I'm saying? We don't do politics and religion over here, but salute. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Let's get into the housekeeping, AC, because I'm sure some of the things that you got on your mind and some of the things that's going to come out, you know, the first hour, we don't really get into the meat and potatoes. Really, for the first hour, we get into the housekeeping, and we let that go however long, addressing, you know, the state of boxing pretty much, and then we start getting into the meat and potatoes and the breakdowns, and we let the conversation go where it goes if you're new to the channel. But I appreciate everybody's in the building, man. I appreciate the 300. I struggle with whether or not I was even want to go live today, man, because boxing and conversation around boxing, it just caters more towards toxicity, you know, and I'm just like, people don't get it. You know what I'm saying? People just don't get it. We got a lot of rebel rousers. We got a lot of people that get worked up. We got a lot of people that they keep harping on this one thing that everybody talking about because they were critical of an aspect of a boxer's game. And it's like, the people that's harping on it, it's like, y'all are taking away. Like, why not do a video about why X, Y, and Z, like the positive? But they're not. You harping on the negative just like everybody else. So what separates you from everybody else? So I wasn't going to do it, but I said, nah, man, Abdullah is my guy. You know what I'm saying? Abdullah is my guy. I think he's great for the sport of boxing. Consummate professional, people's champ. And I said, man, I got to do him justice, because barring, you know, somebody missing weight or something like that, which I don't foresee at all, barring that, man, we might not have another episode until after the fights, because this card is so lit. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be a fan. I do give myself the permission to be a fan. You know, I get out of content creation mode, and I remember why I actually do what I do, is because at the end of the day, I am a boxing fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, like, that's first. That's before content creation. That's before everything else. I'm a boxing fan first. So I'm going to flood out the noise. I'm going to give myself permission to just enjoy this weekend and the implications of the card and all of the fighters that's on the card. But I did want to talk about a couple of things, man, that's going on in boxing. And I'm going to start with number one. Chalk is still applying pressure to Shakur. Like I see and I hear, and most of these people are part of the core hive or whatever, to where no matter what video Oshaki does, and no matter how much of his truth he speaks, and how much he keeps himself relevant. Now he's not doing it. What's so crazy is he's not doing it in the vein of everybody else, because everybody else, I keep hearing this echo sentiments from the echo chambers talking about how, you know, they're upset with Twitter warriors or people that's, you know, fighting on social media, but they really want to see these guys, the main apple scrapples, they want to see them in real scraps. But what I found and what I've seen with Oshaki is like he's doing it the right way. Like he's sitting down, most of the time he's sitting down across from somebody that's actually asking them some questions, whether it's a short video, a little 15-minute, 5-minute video. He's still speaking his truth, and he's using the big C word. He's being consistent in his message. And what I found odd is that some of my guys, I'm not even gonna lie, some of my guys from the DMV are kind of like disappointing me, man. It's because it's just like what Richardson Hitchens did before he got on my bad side with the shit that he did after the Cambosis fight. More so the Duarte fiasco, him making weight. You know what I'm saying? He made weight the next day, and then after making weight the next day from the 10-pound rehydration, somehow, some way, he said he was sick, and then he came out and said it was the money. Then we heard he was going to Zuffa, he was changing weight classes. I'm like, man, you didn't have to do all of that and go to Zuffa to do that. I mean, I understand they breaking that bread, but the way he moved, he got on my shit list. But some of my guys, man, Lamont and Gary Antoine, man, kind of like struck a nerve. And I be pretty much rooting for these guys. I be pulling for these guys, but I try to use the big C as well, where I'm going to be consistent. And what I've seen is that with Oshaki Foster, he's been in relentless pursuit of Shakur Stevenson. And Shakur Stevenson, a lot of his OnlyFans, they give him a way out. They, you know, they turn the other cheek. They let him do whatever. Like, man, in the real world, I would be surprised with the kind of crimes he would be able to get away with the people around him if he was into some criminal activity. Because in boxing, his fans don't hold him to any level of accountability. And I noticed that in every Oshaki video is somebody in the comments saying, oh, he just clout chasing and this and that. I'm just like, no, he's pursuing a big fight. He's not doing a shotgun blast like a young Tito Mercado, which I condone because he's young. He needs the name. He's not at the level of where Oshaki's been. He's not as old. He's not as tenured. He hasn't had whatever, but he is a proverbial boogeyman. So he do a shotgun blast, but his shotgun blast is very thorough because every name that he calls out, he has a reason, a justification, and he can give you detailed reason as to why he would do this and why he feels like this, and he breaks it down. He talks very fast, but he does the shotgun blast. Oshaki's not doing a shotgun blast. Oshaki is moving the way that we would want any of our boxers moving, the same way David Morrell, regardless of the results of him and David Benavidez, regardless of the results. But the same way David Morrell was in relentless pursuit of one David Benavidez. That's the guy who he really had in his crosshairs. And on the way, he would take on, you know, whoever he needed to take on to do whatever he needed to do and pursue greatness in whatever aspect he can. You know, best available, you know, highest ranking, or, you know, business-wise, what makes sense, or accolade salad, like whatever. That's what Oshaki's doing, and he's never strayed away from that. He's never broken character, and I think that that's something that like goes unnoticed about Oshaki, and something that we have to reward because that's what we want in our fighters. Fuck saying any and everybody and wasted opportunity when the mic get in your face. Pull out that motherfucking thing with that beam on it and get laser-like focus on one guy. And if I gotta go through this guy and that guy, which I've shown I can do, but that's who I got my eyes set on. That's the guy that if I were to upset the apple cart, if I were to share the ring with this guy, I'm going to show the world what they're not convinced of. And that's all he's doing. He's not out here getting in beefs with Keyshawn and then getting in beefs with Lamont and then getting in beefs with Gary and then getting in beefs. Like, he's not doing that. He's pursuing Shakur. He's speaking about his history with Lamont. He's speaking about his history with whatever was going on with Keyshawn. And he's been a stand-up dude. He's not being salacious. However, in his pursuit, I find it ironic that my guys, Lamont, Gary, they're talking so nice. They're using their librarian voices when it comes to Shakur. Total etiquette when it comes to Shakur. And then they're jumping on O'Shaquie. I'm like, man, this got to be the craziest shit in the world where we in. Where they're jumping in front of the guy. It's just like when Richards and Hitchens wasn't that strapped and he was saying, listen, I want T.O. He had T.O. in the ring. And then he called Devin and them, you know what I'm saying, the B word. And he was saying, listen, because for years, Richards and Hitchens had been calling out Devin Haney. He just had never got his shot. And just likewise, Devin Haney had some things going on with Richards and Hitchens. He had some things going on with Gary Antoine Russell because of what happened between the history with him and Mr. Gary Russell. And Mr. Gary Russell lost to Mark Magsayo when he really got pickpocketed because he really won that fight. Devin had a lot to say. Gary was like, well, when you go to 140, you know what I'm saying, just holler at me since you have so much to say. He never hollered at him. Even when him and Pollo fought for his strap, he never hollered at him. But he got to tiptoe past 40. That's why I give him and Keyshawn the same level of criticism like I do everybody else for saying, no, y'all tiptoe past 140. But I'm finding it odd that whenever Richards and Hitchens was mentioned and whenever he did a video at the time, because I was, you know what I'm saying, I was a fan of Richards and Hitchens. I'm still a fan. I don't like his moves, but I'm not going to get out here and do no videos the way I was supporting him because I'm going to be the big C, which is consistent. I'm not going to talk about a motherfucker or be vouching for a motherfucker that's moving funny. Once you start moving funny, I'll give you a grace on that first move, but that second move, the next thing you do, if it's funny, I'm off. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But I find it so funny that everybody and their mom is jumping on O'Shaquie when O'Shaquie is the only one that's keeping in the buck. And he ain't from the DMV. Gary Antoine had something to say about him here recently. Lamont got his energy changed, and both of these guys, I seen them. They was on Brian Custer. They fucking energies changed. Like, it's one energy when they talk about Shakur. There's a whole different energy when the name O'Shaquie. I'm like, man, O'Shaquie gotta be a bad man. Why? Because niggas get visibly shook. You can visibly see a difference in their behavior when O'Shaquie comes up, and I'm like, damn, he gotta be a bad motherfucker. And I'm seeing that I'm peeping that it's the same kind of energy that another little nigga from Baltimore be getting when he be doing his thing. And I'm like, man, we down to the last of the Mohicans. And I wanted to highlight this thing because I seen a video with O'Shaquie in it. And I'm gonna do I wanna let it play and I wanna go through it real quick. It's short, but I do wanna go through it. And break it down. And I always got to give credit because we give credit. You know what I'm saying? If we see something or somebody else say something, we don't take, credit for it. But we got to do it by the book, man, because we up against a lot of forces. I noticed that whenever I do any kind of video about Devin, like, they fuck with my monetization. Like, they outside of, like, my monetization, it goes yellow. It's no longer green. You can't shop through it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So I'm going to give just due where it needs to be given. You know what I'm saying? Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use purposes such as criticism. That's what we do. We criticize everybody. Comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. We research everybody. Everybody. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. We ain't trying to infringe on nobody. We ain't stepping on no toes. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. That's all we do whenever we had these conversations, man. We tip the balance in favor of fair. The main reason why HC is on this channel because whatever I'm saying, if I might be one-sided or whatever, he's a critically thinking grown-ass man, so he's going to tip me back in the balance of fair. So if I ever start sounding like a space cadet, and I'm just going off I got somebody that I can trust that be like, no. Then I got my lady, she be watching, she ain't gonna let me go off, like she ain't gonna let me go, but so far, she gonna be like, hey, hold on. She, you know what I'm saying? I got people around me, I keep people around me that keep me reeled in and keep me in the balance of fair. And you need those checks and balances. That's all we really trying to do. But let me pop this up here, man, so we can break this down.
All right, Sean Patel here with the WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the World, Oshaki Shock Foster here at Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn. Shock, man, what's on the priority list? What do you want right now in the boxing world if things go the way you feel they should go?
Man, we're waiting for that call from Shakur, man. We're trying to see what he was on. He gave us his word. We ain't heard nothing. But other than that, man, we're trying to see what Navarrete want to do. If he don't want to do nothing.
Here's the first thing I'm gonna say, man. People keep saying, "Why is he smiling?" I'm like, now a boxer, doesn't even got the right to fucking smile. He doing an interview, he's smiling, he's being himself. Why is he smiling? He's saying we waiting on that call, man. We still haven't got that call from Shakur.
And then maybe the win out of Lamont is a Zapata. We got a few options, but we're just seeing which one come first.
Yeah, which one of those do you feel right now is the most realistic? Is it Lamont and Zapata? Because it could be as simple, correct me if I'm wrong, is you just telling the WBC, hey, I'm the champion at 30, I want my shot at the 35 title now, and they would mandate you for that kind of opportunity, or what do you think?
I think either one of them. Navarrete or Lamont, the winner of Lamont Zapata, they the easiest. I mean, of course, me and Shakur could be the easiest because we both free now, but that's one of them, if he want to do it type things. I'm not in a position to force it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for sure.
Don't we appreciate humility in some boxers? He's being reasonable. He's not making these demands like these, like Schofield and all out the shit we see in some of these young boxers who ain't in no position to call no kind of shots. Even when you the A side to everybody else, right? But then you coming up against the A side and then the B side start acting like an A side. We've seen a lot of that. He basically said, listen, I'm not in a position to force him to do anything. We don't embrace that. We don't value that no more. Like, that's humility. That's knowing, okay, listen, man, it's up to him. That's something that he want to do. I'm not in a position to force him to do nothing. Ain't this the kind of behavior that we expect, that we need? How he's going about things. He's not even being all outrageous. He's cool, calm, and collected.
If it doesn't happen with Shakur, why do you think that is?
It's all him. He ducked it. He's scared. He know I'm gonna expose what I'm gonna expose what everybody think he is. You know what I mean? He know what it is.
How does the business of that fight get in the way or not get in the way? Like when he's rumored to maybe go to Zuffa, but like you said, he's still as of right now a free agent. I don't know if he want to fight under the top rank umbrella since he left them a few years.
Now remember this rumor to go to Zuffa, because as soon as I get done with this, I got something I'm gonna show y'all, man, that's gonna make so much sense. I done calculated, I done did the math, and we are 32. Since we're past 30, we might as well go ahead and yeah, we're gonna just stick at, we're more than 30 days out from something that was said, and I'm gonna show you how the media works and how it's used and how it's weaponized against certain fighters. But then they'll do shit like this, like Sean Patel. You're looking at this, right? And you're thinking that, oh man, he's in favor of this guy. And oh yeah, look at him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, he's kind of stirring the pot, but he's being two-faced as well. And I'm gonna break it down. Give me a minute.
Years ago, like, how could the fight realistically, could it come together if he does become like a Zuffa fighter, or how does it go down, you think?
I mean, that too, that's what makes it a little difficult too, because he don't have a promotion base behind him. So, who's gonna put up the money versus, Turkey or somebody like that. So, I mean, we'll have to just see. We'll have to just see. But if he calling the shots like he say he do, he'll make something happen. You know what I mean? So.
That's what I'm saying. You want to be a baller, shot caller. It's like we done seen it win. And I'm not throwing no darts. I'm just speaking facts. You know what I'm saying? Since being critical is not popular right now, but like we could be critical of DHP and we could say, oh, that's a shell of a promotional company. But when you're a big baller, shot caller, and you in a position to make it, and then you don't make it, and you get to hide behind the fact that you're a shot caller, but you really don't call no shots. You at the mercy of a network giving you bread. He's basically saying, listen, if you the shot caller, then we have to make something happen. Now, I know Top Rank is behind Oshaki. And whether them numbers will be numbering for a guy like Shakur, that's a whole different story. But at the same time, if you a baller, shot caller, you'll be calling and balling. That's not happening.
Obviously, you think you win that fight, but I gotta be like my first thought, and I think you've more than deserved your opportunity at a fight like that. You've obviously proven yourself as a quality champion. But my first thought was, I don't know if O'Shaquie Foster could out Shakur because you're both these two chess masters, and while you're knocking on the door of the pound for pound list, he's looked at as top 5. And would you? How do you? I know you can't give away like a game plan, but you gonna out chess master Shakur Stevenson, do what he does better against him, or why would you beat him?
Because I'm gonna be shot. I own Shakur, I shot. You know what I mean? And that's why.
Knowing your identity, Teddy Atlas just did a piece, and it behooves you to go watch this piece that Teddy Atlas did. I'm gonna start bringing Teddy Atlas back into the mix of these conversations because Teddy Atlas came out and said the reason why Xander lost is because he didn't know who he was. Boots knew who he was, but Xander forgot who he was, and I love that answer from O'Shaq. O'Shaq is not trying to be Nick Davis.
I had to pause it, giggle, walk away, go get a glass of juice, giggle some more, walk past the computer, laugh a little bit more like, yo, what the fuck? Then sit down, pause it, unpause it, then pause it again like, yo, I just can't deal with this dude. That was like, honestly, my reaction to when he said that. No BS. My missus was like, what's the matter? I was like, yo, this dude O'Shaq, man, he the realest thing in boxing. Like, he the realest thing in boxing. All he needs is his chance, and he gonna shock the world.
Yeah, and win, lose, or draw, he gonna be shocked. Like, no matter what. That's how I am. Win, lose, or draw. No matter what's going on, I'm up, I'm down, I'm gonna be me. You know what I'm saying? That's why he resonates with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, these silent carry, he'd be somebody that you know what I'm saying, he'd be part of the pack. That's all, like, especially when I was in the army, or any moves, any friends. If you act like that, you move like that, you just gonna be you, regardless, you just gonna be whatever, you know what I'm saying? You stand up, dude, you stand on what you say, you ain't out here just wild and crazy. That's one of my type of people, you know what I'm saying, as far as the energy he give. He's Mr. Consistent as far as the energy he be giving. He ain't trying to be nobody else. He knows his identity. He knows what he's capable of. He don't over embellish. You know what I'm saying? He don't go off on a tangent. He ain't salacious. He's a cool, calm, collected guy, man, who just speaking nothing but facts. He keeps his composure. That's why he's ice water. That's why I call myself Mr. Four Quarter, because it don't matter, man. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to make it happen.
They call me ice water. I adjust to anybody, and I just feel like I got more to my toolbox. See, y'all feel like we can do the same things, and I agree with that. But I can do more. That's the difference, you know what I mean? And I will show that if we get that fight. You know what I mean?
Would you have to be the fighter that is more aggressive and has more volume in that fight to beat him?
I will be. You know what I mean? I will be. I have the tools too, and like I said, we've been in front of each other. We know what comes. I know what to do for sure.
How many rounds do you think you guys sparred total over the years? If you had to say.
Man, I don't know. It was a lot, but I wasn't like getting ready for no fights when I was sparring them, so I was just in and out. But it was good work. It was a lot of work.
Well, I was okay then. What percentage of the sparring, those rounds, 60%, 50%, 70%, do you feel like you were the better fighter in?
I feel like every time we sparred, I didn't have no problem. Like, not saying every time we sparred, I beat him up. Every time we sparred, like, I didn't have no problem. It was a good chess match. But then when it got to the later sparring session, like the last few, that's when the stuff happened. What I said, where I ran him out the gym. I mean, he tried to tell all the lies, but then he ended up having to come tell the truth.
That's what I be trying to say. That's why I be saying, man, I'm no longer giving these certain guys, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. Like these young guys, like Tito, he get the benefit of the doubt. But some guys who we've been giving these guys benefit of the doubt, and they've come back and their story done changed. They done, revealed the fact that they were lying, they were capping, they didn't really feel like that, they weren't keeping the same energy. We gotta stop giving these niggas the benefit of the doubt. Like, why are we still giving motherfuckers the benefit of the doubt? Like, why are we not like on their ass? And that's what he was saying. I think it was a very humble approach. He said, I'm not saying every sparring session I was whooping his ass, but I've never had really no problem. And then when rubber was meeting the road, you know what I'm saying? That's when I was stepping it up and showing that it was a different level. I don't know why that's so hard to believe. Especially when somebody is like doing everything in their power not to fight you. And we see the behavior when somebody really want to fight and how they move and how they pursue. Shakur said he was chasing Zapata, a champion, chasing a mandatory for 2 years. You can say I'm hating and all that or not, but like that's that man's words. If I'm gonna be critical of him, I'm using this man's words. I'm not fabricating nothing. But how do that sound? It sounds dumb as hell. O'Shock has been level-headed. He said, listen, man, I wasn't whooping his ass all the time. I just didn't have no problem. But then when it got down to it, to them later rounds, that's when it really showed, like, okay, cool, I pretty much got your number. That's all. If we want to like break the code, if you want me to crack the code and read the code for you, basically saying I got his number, man. He ain't easy work, but I got his number. And I've shown it. I've shown myself this. My confidence comes from what me and him sharing the ring. That's where it comes from. I'm not pulling nothing out of my tail.
That's really what it happened. It wasn't the first session, man. It wasn't the first sparring session. We had already was sparring a few times before then. This was before he left to go to continue his camp in Vegas. So I sparred him that Friday, and I busted his ass, and then he called me and they wanted to spar that Saturday before he flew out, and we sparred again that Saturday. Mm-hmm. So all that, it was the first sparring session. He capped me.
And what happened Saturday? You said it was good work, right?
It was good.
Yeah.
Like they had K on FaceTime and everything. Like they was really trying, and I knew he was gonna really come try to be sharp, and it was cool. It was another chess match for the first few rounds, and then I got back to doing what I was doing. I got back to picking them apart and picking it up on them. So.
What's wrong with that? No disrespect, no outrageousness, no over the top. Not some of the shit that we be hearing, like, you know what I'm saying? So people be giving this man a bad handshake, man. Like what reason do Shock give us the lie? He don't come across as a liar to me. He's been a stand-up dude. He went on Gillian Wallow. He went on Cam and Mace. Energy never changed.
I mean, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm willing to prove it in front of the world, and so I'm ready.
So you feel you figured him out after those chess match rounds?
For sure. I said, man, I didn't have a problem with him. You know what I mean? And I'm ready to show that in front of the world. He did all that talking. I beat his man's up, which is the dollar store version of him. I said that, and now I want the real version.
And did he not stand on it? He stood on that. He was calling the dollar store version. I said, man, listen, I broke it down. I gave you the nutritional value. It had a barcode on it and everything. Well, I was saying, listen, Ray about to go to school, man, and it comes down to the plus and minus. I said, and you won't believe this about your favorite fighter, but when y'all want to talk about that plus minus shit, that sweet science shit, in the last 3 fights, in the last couple fights, his plus minus been better than Shakur's. That's facts. That's not something I'm putting on my tail. And that's what I said it was going to come down to. I said, when you look at it in the level of competition, and this man been fighting nothing but since 2020, he been fighting nothing but the top 5. Your favorite fighter been fighting niggas coming off of losses. Getting dropped. He was getting ready to fight Cordina coming off of a stoppage. He fought a nigga coming off of a roof, an electrician. This guy been fighting top 5, and his plus minus is better than your guy when your guy is known for his plus minus. It was facts when I gave my analysis. And it was right as rain. He said that was the dollar store version. He said, I proved it. What Shakur do? He reneged.
What have you thought of how it's been playing out, this negotiation in public with Devin Haney and Keyshawn involved in it and everything? What have you made of it, if anything?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I really don't even mind nobody else's business, but Keyshawn, stop bringing me up, bro. You know, we looked out for you. You know what I mean? We had you. We were looking out for you before they took you under your wing. You know what I mean? When they left you, you stranded, chill. Bro. You know what I mean? You trying to come for us, but I think he a little mad because I said, you know, they offered me him in 2025, and I said I'll fight him. But
that's what I was saying. Like, Shock pulled it. That's what he was saying. Listen, y'all. I pointed this out, and nobody wants to acknowledge this. For all the people that be dick riding, eggplant eating, tonsil jewelry, displaying, throat coat spraying, reaching around, extending, having, and popping on knee pads for Keyshawn. Like, I did a whole video, and this shit be going over people's heads because, wow, it's straight facts, and I guess we so critical that it don't really matter. We were critical, but facts. And the fact of the matter is, he said yes to Keyshawn. We would have never got a Ray Ford. Think about this, y'all. We would have got a Ray Ford. Guess what we would have got? We would have got an old Shock versus Keyshawn. One person said yes, and we didn't get the fight. Quick question. Who said yes? Shock said yes. What did we wind up getting? A Ray Ford. So if you want to read between the lines, read between the lines. What does that say? That's why when I come on and I do pieces, that's why I stopped doing pieces about Shakur. I stopped doing pieces about Keyshawn. Because it'd be smoke and mirrors.
I ain't saying no to nobody. But, you know, I wish them guys the best, man. Well, Keyshawn and Devin. Shakur, he know what I want to do to him. So.
And we see this right here. Look, I'll put pause on them. Fight hype. Gary Antoine Russell tells all on Shakur Stevenson and Foster sparring. I'll put pause on them. And I'm hopefully. I mean, from what I'm seeing, man, that's when him jumping all on Shocky. I don't like that shit, man. It's like the prize is Shakur, but if y'all, I mean, I can't knock no boxer. I can't knock no boxer for doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? I just know that in my heart of hearts, it's different energy, man. And y'all know Gary Antoine, all these cats are in my intro. But like y'all know how I feel about Gary Antoine. I think he's the best at 140. And until proven otherwise, even with a loss. Why? Because the level of competition at that division is what needs to be considered. At that division. You can't jump up and beat a guy that's high and low on a roller coaster. And, you know, he have a bad night, you whoop him, but then you don't want to see nobody else that's any level. Like, it'll be a cardinal sin to put Shakur in the ring with Hirioka, but everybody has something to say about Gary Antoine and Hirioka. So me, I have my own level of criteria, and yes, I am critical of Gary Antoine too in this one aspect to where it's like when it comes down to Shakur, I believe, and he believes, and he knows, I think he's being more finesse type when it comes down to it because he don't really want to, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, he don't want to say nothing to where Shakur can go back and be like, oh, he's disrespectful, so I'm never going to do that. Why? because that's the approach he taking to O'Shaquie. But I don't agree with it when everybody want to jump on O'Shaquie. You even got people sick and Tank on O'Shaquie. Now, if O'Shaquie came up to 35 and he had to go up against Tank, I'm all for it. But it's odd how it's all these roadblocks. It's everybody but this individual when it comes down to Shakur. But then everybody wants to hop on O'Shaquie, and O'Shaquie ain't been doing nothing but keeping it all the way 10 times 10. A whole 100. Unica, salute. Real talk by Honeybee, salute. I appreciate y'all for being in the building. Thank you. But that's a portion of the first one, because the first one, this was the first one. He's still applying pressure. I don't think that he said anything egregious, anything outrageous, anything outlandish when it came down to Shakur. I think he was matter of fact. Yes, he smiled. Why? He has a quiet confidence. He knows how he's built. He knows the issue. Everybody wasn't there. But we keep giving all of these guys the benefit of the doubt. What about when somebody show you? Because everybody was talking about, oh man, Ray gonna knock O'Shaquie out, and you know, saying blah blah blah. It's 50-50. I'm like, this is not 50-50, y'all. O'Shaquie is really one of them ones. And if y'all go by the whole resume thing since 2020, nobody, I don't know. He might be the only guy that I can say. I got to go back and really look at it, aside from David Benavidez and going back to AC's top, going back to AC's pound for pound list, the one that he showed me, like where he got 5 of them. He might be the only guy, aside from David Benavidez, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, maybe Naoya Inoue, that since 2020 have been fighting top 5 in their division. I'm not talking about in boxing where you go up and you get an accolade, because look, I mean, I'm not going to shit on Shakur's victory over Tio. That was a great feat. Nobody, you know what I'm saying, just anybody can't just go up and beat Tio. But we know Tio was up and down. But since 2020, we can't say that for Shakur. He fought Zepeda. Zepeda arguably lost. He arguably lost to Tevin Farmer the first time. He fought an electrician. Was he top 5? O'Shaquie at his weight division been fighting top 5 since 2020. Top 5 since 2020, y'all. So we gotta put some respect on the people's name, man. Like even when you look at Brian Norman and the feat that he had, they act like he don't even exist. He's an afterthought. I'm like, well, hold on, man. Yeah, he lost, but like seeking the smoke, you know what I'm saying, having a bad night at the office, that shit don't mean nothing. Look at how they do Tank off of a draw and all the names he fought. So that's the first aspect of number one. I know this is a lot, but bear with me. We got to get surgical with it. We gotta get surgical with it. Look at this, y'all. This is the other thing I wanted to put out. This is the other thing I wanted to pull up. This was a segment I was gonna do yesterday. This was gonna be a whole one where I was gonna go solo and do this live yesterday, but I didn't do it. Chris Mannix, man. Chris Mannix is a hitman. He needs to be counseled. Chris Mannix is a hitman that needs to be counseled. And why you say that, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right, he's a hitman. And if you look at it, the way he do it, it's in many different ways. Like when we look at the results of what happened with O'Shaquie Foster and Raymond Ford, when I said Lil Ray goes to school on May 30th, that was May 30th. So we could say, what, June 1st? Because technically it was probably after the fight when the fight finally came on. I think it might have been after midnight when that fight was all said and done and they got in the ring. So we could say on, let's just say, okay, on the night of the fight, May 30th, we know technically it might have been June 1st when they got in the ring. This nigga came out and poured water all on the fight. The first thing he said, what did he say, y'all? What did Chris Mannix say? Chris Mannix came out and said, yo, that fight is just not going to happen. I said, see, this is how the media works. 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 This is how the media works See, y'all, when I say he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age, y'all don't really know what I be cooking on when I be cooking, but I'm gonna tell y'all the ingredients. And I got a chef with me that's gonna check me and make sure that okay, I'm not being too spicy on this one. That these flavors are gonna register home. But what he did was came out and he poured water all over the fight, and I said, why is the energy like that? In a potential fight where Shakur gave his word, he jumped in the ring. He was disrespectful. He didn't shake the man's hand. The first thing Chris Mannix said, "Well, the fight's not gonna happen because it's being reported that Shakur and Zuffa has made a deal." Well, what's the day? What's the day? We're 48 hours away from the 4th of July when we're gonna see fireworks with Mason and Bell. Then that must mean that we're on what? July the 2nd? He came out on May the 30th and poured water in the fight. He was the first one, and see, everybody followed suit because I saw a whole lot of online zombies getting in the way of the Shockey and the Shakur fight. And what has happened? We heard about all these catchweights with this and that. Oh yeah, I want Devin. Oh yeah, I'll fight Devin in 144. And then Devin said, all right, I'll fight you at 144. And it's like, I'm not gonna fight you at 144. You gotta fight Keyshawn. But Shakur been getting the benefit of the doubt the whole time. But who was the first one to come out and pour water all on this shit? Who was leading point? Recon in the military, what we call it. On a reconnaissance mission. Chris Mannix. And not only does he do that like type shit where he'll come out and say that, and that was breaking news. Well, where was the breaking news? Like what? Okay, so how many? What, we 32 or 33 days removed from when he said that news? But he been getting the benefit of the doubt the whole time. And little old me been sitting here by the dock of the bay, wasting time, waiting for another report when these niggas really signed the Zuffa. When did they sign the Zuffa? With all this time going by, shit. Shakur would look great if he would have said, all right, well, look, I'm going to go ahead and dust off O'Shaquie. I'm going to get this shit out the way. I'm going to shut his ass up, and then boom, boom, boom. But he looking real bad. Why? Because I can name more people that he won't fight than who he will. But Mannix led point. Guess what also he do? He also had the privilege of being able to give his unofficial scores. And then sometimes he's actually caught in the fight. He's a triple threat. And you notice there's certain guys to where they never painted favor. But who be running point? Chris Mannix. Oh, and he ain't the only hit man. Max Kellerman is a hit man. Tim Bradley is a hit man. No, I'm just starting with Chris Mannix. Why? Because they give his big ass, blue suit wearing ass the mic all the time, and he poured water all over this fight. Talking about, oh yeah. Shakur signed him as Zuffa. Well, it's July the 2nd, Holmes. You said that on May the 30th. We're not going to hold him accountable, but we give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a hitman. And I was one of the first people. Well, I was the first person that came out and said, listen, with a top rank and a matchroom venture, when y'all on the same card, if you got Sergio Morio caught in the fight, you got Chris Mannix doing the reporting and doing his unofficial, that will be a hit job for anybody from top rank. They're gonna favor their guy. Like that's so many times I've said, I don't know what fight I be going ham. I be like, babe, don't listen to them. Me and my lady be watching the fight, and if she up, that mean the fight is lit. That mean if she don't fall asleep on the card, that mean the card was lit. Even if nobody get knocked out. Cause she can stay up for a good fight. But I be telling her, I said, babe, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. I said, I don't know what fight they looking. I don't know how many times I said, I don't know what fight they looking, but these are my scorecards. And goddamn it, every time. I told y'all my scorecards for that fight. They had a 114. That was bullshit. Everybody knew it. Dismissed, denied. Put that to the side. We had a 118, 110, a 116, 112. I had a 117, 111. I'm surgical with this shit. But if you were listening to the commentary, you would have thought Ray Ford was doing this and doing that and blah, 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 and blah, blah. He's a hit man, y'all. And I hate it because, you know, his lady, Zanicia, one of the baddest women on the planet when it come down to putting on in blood. She's in my intro. I called her the Hornet. Bad. Look, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm on another planet. I don't know how she get along. I don't know how that work. It's not none of my business for real. But I'm like, damn. Chris Maddox must have the gift of gab. Why? Because they keep letting him get on the screen. They keep giving him these positions. They allowing him to have these key points in this boxing shit. And I don't get it. I know so many people that are running laps around this nigga. What? Because he got a big head? Oh, no. It's not. That's not really what it is. It's because he's going to play the game. You know what I'm saying? On that chessboard, he's going to be that pawn to where you can move him however. He's going down the sword. They can point it at him. He's going to take whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. But he's a hitman. If you think about anything that they say, think about Max Kellerman. Think about Tim Bradley. Think about Chris Maddox. Think about Sergio Moria. Think about Paulie Malignaggi. The list goes on. When you put these niggas in front of the mic, depending on who they're talking about and what faction they're with, and this is not unfounded information. Remember, I was going through a whole episode on this nigga yesterday, and I'm gonna give you this example. When Shakur, this is how I'm gonna tell y'all. This is it, and I can show y'all in the slide presentation because I got this shit all gelled up for this nigga. But when Shakur Stevenson was over there with Top Rank, guess who came out? Guess who was the front runner with that boring shit? Guess who was the first one to come out with that boring shit and how boring Shakur was and how this and this and that? Guess who it was? Chris big head ass blue suit Maddox. Why? Because he was with Matchroom and Shakur was with Top Rank. It wasn't until he went over there to Matchroom to where he started changing his spots. He started changing his tone. Nigga had 2 fights and then all of a sudden, yo, I see him as top 10 or top 3 pound for pound. And listen, he's otherworldly. He's this and no, nigga. You getting paid to say that shit. So save that shit. And that's really what it is with Maddox. He's a political motherfucking minion, a fucking pawn. So if you see a name, if you see a guy that look like any one of these 3 guys, then watch. Go back and do your history. Don't even take my... I'm saying from here going forward, that's one benchmark. But from here going backwards, go do your research. And I always say, stop me if I'm lying. The link is always available upon request. If it ain't out there, I just don't put it out there when we doing the housekeeping so I can get through this shit and it'll be something on wax uninterrupted. But he's a hitman. Need to be counseled. He needs to be counseled. He needs to be counseled, man. Number 2, boxing fan by population. Listen, and AC was talking about this. He jumped on this for a second, and in his, you know, the little things that he was saying that was been on his mind. Listen, we are in a situation now where people want to have it both ways. We can look at the fight that happened this weekend where we give one guy all the glory and all the praise, right? But then we give the other guy, we want to say he quit and we want to like shit on him and we want to do this and this and that. It's like, you know, as fans, like, and as people that talk about boxing, we can't have it both ways. I'll give you something to hit a little bit more closer to home because, like I said the other day, I didn't have a dog in that race. I'm still in my evaluation phase. I didn't know really what Xander was. And Boots, it speaks volumes that in 36 fights, that was his second like step up fight. I went to the Stan Giannis fight. He proved me right, and I was looking at Stan Giannis. Being critical as I am, I was looking at Stan Giannis. I said, this nigga quit. I said the same thing. He quit on a stool. Boots made him do that, but he quit on a stool. I was critical then. I was critical now. Xander quit. According to definition, that's not something that you know I'll do a video about and say, oh yeah, he blah blah blah. No, he made a business decision. How many times we talk about that? T.O. made a business decision to keep his hands in his pocket against Shakur. It's just like Loma against T.O. Loma, for the first 8 rounds, he made a decision to keep his hands in his pocket. That's an observation, something that's observable with facts. But something that's closer to home is this: when it comes down to the little dude from Baltimore named Tank, I came out and I said, listen, I understand what was going on. I understand that people were picking and choosing and that promotional companies were doing that in-house shit. There were sides of the street. It was just that Mayweather, when he said, yeah, we doing everything in-house, Bob will come out and say we doing everything in-house. Eddie, he'll fluff it. He'll probably have the most palatable way of saying that we're doing things in-house, but people was believing him. Eddie can sell salt to a snail. Everybody was doing their own in-house thing. I said the only thing, me as a diehard Tank fan, the only thing I can say, man, Tank, is what they're going to be able to say about you is that when it's all said and done, they're going to be able to say that Devin got undisputed during your reign when you was in that division. They'll say that Devin and Loma fought during your reign when you was in that division. Teofimo Lopez did everything that Devin did before he did it. Beating Comey, beating Loma. So he went and got a strap off of Comey, which was something that Loma needed to get involved with, right? Then he went and beat Loma. He was really undisputed before Devin did. Gets no credit for it. You know what they're gonna say in the history books, Tank? The people that's not around to be able to break this shit down the way I can, because I was around watching it, is that they did this while you was in that division. That's the knock. So while Loma was going around saying that you ducked him and you did this and this and that, they're gonna be able to say it's gonna be people, it's gonna be talking heads, just like right now. It's like Richard Hitchens talking bad about you now, doing a whole video, 37-minute video where it's like, oh, Richard Hitchens speaks on Tank. You over there, Zuffa, nigga. But they use Tank in that manner. We all know what it is. We know he the face of boxing. What they're going to say is this. And what they always say is this. Well, man. Because they go back to that instance where when Floyd and Tank was beefing, he was like, man, you fuck around, I'll make you fight Loma. And it was almost like it was synonymous with the decision as to like what was going on with Pedraza. And that lady later came out that he was down bad. Like he was like, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't making the bread he was making or whatever. He felt like he wasn't like in the best headspace. Why? Because he was like trying to live. He was trying to survive. Like he wasn't getting no bread like that. He got thrusted in, and Pedraza was the man. For all you revisionist historians, Pedraza was the man. So he felt like at the time when that fight came along, he might not have been ready, because why? Like when you worried about how you living and whatever, like, okay, he thought that, okay, Floyd trying to set me up. The only thing is, like Bernard Hopkins, the ring is the lie detector. He just built like that. He went in there, he almost knocked Pedraza's head off in that state. And that's what set him off. I get to get a name off of Pedraza after that. But he was the sniper. Pedraza was the sniper. That was his moniker. It's the same thing with Loma. When Floyd came out and was saying what he was saying about Tank and that whole shit about, oh, yeah, you fuck around, I'll make you fight Loma or whatever. Like, at that time and what was going on, it would be perceived as though that would be a setup. The ring was still going to have to be the lie detector. But what I always say to bring this whole number 2 home in this one example is that if you want to say that Tank was ducking Lomachenko, even though they was on 2 different sides of the street, right? We had Bob on record saying that he pretty much would make a fight with anybody on that side, but he thought that anybody on his side, because remember, he had Tio, he had Loma, he had Shakur. Those were all on his side of the street. He had all the belts except for the one belt that Tank had on his side, right? But people want to say that Tank was ducking Loma. And I was like, okay, well, it wasn't Loma the A side at that point in time? Okay, so the same burden that Tank get as the A side, Loma didn't get the burden as the A side as to make some shit happen, make the numbers worth it, make whatever happen. Because we always know that when it comes down to cross promotional, money is the deciding factor. When the fight is big enough and the money is there, it ain't like we act like sides of the street don't exist. But people pick and choose when they want to acknowledge that shit. So in that instance, this buy culture where you want to have it both ways is like, okay, well, Tank, if everything is to blame on Tank right now, he's the A side and these fights don't happen, right? then okay. At that time, Loma was the A side. So you a bi boxing fan, meaning that you want to have it both ways and you can't have it both ways. But let's bring it full circle. When it came down to what ACO would say is, how did we get here? How did we get a Lamont Roach? When it comes down to that, it's because he sent Loma an offer. Loma said no. So you can't have it to where in the back of the day you were saying Tank ducked them right back in the day. If that's what you want to stand on and that's the hill you want to die on, okay, well, die on that hill. But you can't say shit when Tank sent them an offer. And you come back and say, oh, it was 7 years later. No. You're a bi-boxer fan. You want to have it both ways. Just go ahead and don your flag. We're not going to have it both ways. So it's either or. It's just like with Shakur. If you were saying that Shakur, I don't know how the fuck this happened, but if you want to say Tank was ducking Shakur, okay, cool. If you're going to die in the hell, then die in the hell. But what about when Tank and his team reached out and Shakur and them said we want a multi-fight deal. We want more. And Tank and them was like, nah, we just want one off. We want a smash and dash, a grab and go, a one-night stand, and hit it and quit it. And you said no. You can't have it both ways. But a lot of these boxing fans are bi-boxing fans. You can't have it both ways. Full circle to Devin. If you want to say the whole time because Devin got undisputed in down there at 35 and he was the man, and yeah, he went to all the smoke because he fought the old ass Lomachenko because he was old when he was getting when Devin fought him. Even though Devin said about 2 years before they fight that he was too old and too small. This is on record. I got a video highlighting and all that. Then he wound up fighting him 2 years later when he was looking like a middleweight, rehydrated and everything. So if you want to say that Tank ducked Devin, okay, cool. If that's the hill you want to die on that hill. But when he reach out now and they say, hey, what's up, youngin? I want to get it on. And then you say no, you can't have it both ways, bro. You cannot reason and wiggle your way out of that, bro. But I see that a lot of y'all fans are bi-boxer fans, meaning that, okay, just like the video I did the other day, and it's the last point where I'm going to land. I did a video the other day talking about how Devin is pussy. Now, I don't really think Devin is pussy. I think he's pussy when it comes down to Tank. I gave more respect for him after the Brian Norman, but listen to this. If you put a one-way rehydration clause on Regis, where he can only get up but so big, but you can get as big as you want, then you go in there and you do what you do. Regis don't say nothing. He come on after the fact and let it known, and then the athletic commission even could have, they could have screwed you by the rules. They didn't even go by their rules. Nobody talk about that. So if you can do that to Regis, right? But then Tank wants to come from 35 to meet you wherever, 44 or 47, because you said 44 for Shakur. So if it was 44 for Shakur, and then Tank said, hey, 44 for you, and you said no, you can't have it both ways. Because you're going to do it for Shakur, but you don't want to do it for Tank. If he said 47, but then with a rehydration, and you said no, well, listen, you pussy, because you did it to Regis. But it's not good for Tank. Boxing fans are bi. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. That's what I mean when I say fans be wanting to have it both ways. They want all the praise, all the glory. Okay, well, what gets you all the praise and all the glory? The fact that you took a good shot, that you was hurt, that you fought by it, that you was resilient, that you showed you had dog, and you still got rid of a nigga like Abdullah Mason. But ain't nobody out here talking about how he ain't get dropped and all that. No, people say, oh, no, nigga got dropped twice and got up and stopped the dude. He don't deny it. But then when it comes to another fighter who's visibly hurt, y'all want to deny that shit. And you're denying him of his glory. Y'all can't have it both ways. Not when it come down to me, because I'll kick your ball over the fence. You can get pissed off or whatever. No, ain't nobody highlighting it. Y'all making more big of a deal than the people that's actually hating. Ain't nobody hating. But I noticed that a lot of boxing fans are bi. Just go ahead and don your flag. You know what I'm saying? Eat your eggplant. But don't come over here with that bullshit. The link will be available. Number 3. Ryan is co-starring the Devin beat Boots. That's about the craziest shit that I've ever heard and seen. Right now, no. Because when you look at it and how these guys are out here just swimming around like they linguini. What I told y'all about these boys? What have I been telling y'all about these? They're linguini, bro. They say whatever fucking name They see whatever sticks up to the wall, and it's never their fault. Back here, like, listen to this. Look at this. Look how long ago did I do this video? When I was saying, listen, man, but y'all won't, look at the bottom, won't fight each other. I'm like, why y'all throwing up all these names? Just fight each other. We done came full circle to where we getting ready to get this. And now Keyshawn is acting like he don't want to take whatever. I don't give a fuck if it's 5%. Keyshawn, you better take this shit. I don't think Keyshawn can beat Devin. But they are the Greeny bros. They just pop out names, whatever names. They were saying Xander, he was saying Keyshawn, he was saying Ryan, Tank. Tank sent them an offer. Rolling sent them an offer. Xander was right there for the taking. All that time when Virgil and Boots was going at it, Xander was right there. It wasn't until the shit fell out with Xander and Boots. I mean, with Virgil and Boots, that Xander ultimately, whenever Xander got in the crosshairs and they made that shit happen, they made that shit happen. But he said all these names, he ain't fight none of them. But I said they won't fight each other. Well, if I ain't even put Boots on here, why? Because Devin ain't going to 54 until Boots go to 60. I've been said that shit. And Keyshawn, you got everything at your disposal. Now we hearing that you acting like a diva and that you haggling over percentages and shit like this. But you just said Abdullah Mason knowing damn well you wouldn't fight him. You said you would fight Ryan. Well, Ryan was available. Why? Because the Conor Ben shit, we just now hearing that it might be concrete, but once again, we ain't got nothing in concrete about that. You said Haney name, and here we are. Now you be hearing that you stickling over a percentage. If you don't lose yourself in a moment like Eminem or sit the fuck down somewhere, I don't know what to tell you. This your time to shine. As long as you can go home, break some bread, pay some bills, break some bread, and become the man by wiping the floor with Devin, if that's what you believe, you better take that opportunity. But no, I don't believe. I think Ryan is trolling. I think this is something that where he knows how to touch Devin in his no spot, and that's just some shit that he's saying to get Devin all riled up. But no, I don't believe that shit. Because if Devin believed that shit, if Devin looked at what Xander was able to do with that style he went in there with, when he went in there and went straight at him, if Devin believed that, okay, I'm his size and I can go in there, I'm going to use my legs, I'm going to be smart about this shit, I'm going to be strategic. If he believed it, we already see how he moves when it's a fight that he won. When did we hear anything about negotiations when it came down to Jose Ramirez? Did we ever hear like, oh man, we going back and forth about numbers and all this? No. When it's a nigga that they really want to fight, we don't hear about all that bullshit in the media. If he really felt like what Ryan said, he'd be making that move right now. They would have sent Keyshawn a big ass fuck you and said, nope, we going to 54 to go ahead and fight Boots. We legacy, this is blah blah blah. It would be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But that's not happening. That shit is cap. And I respect Ryan because I think he do got Devin number. But that shit is cap. If you believe that shit, I don't know what to tell you. That's the housekeeping. Where you want to start with, AC?
Pull them up again because I was writing some stuff down. I guess we could start at number one with O'Shaquie. And for me, when I look at O'Shaq's persistent moves on it, I saw the interesting part is he did 2 interviews in that gym that same day because he has the one with Sean and then True School did one. And the crazy part for me was Sean just let him kind of have his moments, you know what I'm saying, say his piece. True School was asking him, realistically, you don't think that fight's gonna happen, do you? And Shaq had to look at him like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't be talking about it and trying to pursue it if I didn't think realistically I can get the fight. But if the fight doesn't happen, I have X, Y, and Z. I think that's the way you're supposed to do this shit. You feel me? And I just found that that was a little odd from me, and just watching this particular content creator ever so slightly tick towards that side. It's just making me feel like, damn, I hope you just don't decide to go through that pathway. I see you kind of inching towards the door. You know, I see you got your hand on the doorknob, but I just hope you just don't go through that door, because then it's gonna make me kind of question where you are. And you're like one of the only other channels that really cover, Japanese boxing in depth. And I'm a fan of Japanese boxing. So it'll just be like, wow, that's gonna be a little bit interesting. But I appreciated everything Oshaki said. He's going after it like a true champ. If people were fans of let's just say early on Demetrius Andrade and the Charlos, when they were in hot pursuit of Canelo Alvarez, if you're a fan demanding that Canelo fight David Benavidez, I don't understand how you have a problem. Or you can write in a comment, Shaq is just capping. And it's just like, okay, I don't know how a fighter is engagingly chasing a guy and then you say he's capping. And then when the fight doesn't happen, capping or clout chasing. And then when the fight doesn't happen and he's forced to fight someone else, then you say, oh, see, he doesn't want to fight anybody. And these 2 points kind of go hand to hand. The point I just made goes hand to hand with this and the number 2, because that's the buy shit that Body keeps talking about. And that's the weird shit that I talk about in boxing, and I just don't get it. But meanwhile, one guy attaches, and this is the part that I was writing down. I've looked at how people become celebrities. I've looked at how some people have that it quality to become a celebrity and other people just don't. And for me, it's many different things. Like in boxing, I would say you play the accolade game, but your goal of accolades is strategically planned out. You can call your goal of accolades as the top ranked diet, because it's placed there for you. So it's not like you're going after the champ who's like, yo, he's that guy. You know what I'm saying? Boots was there under Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. He was sitting right there. Everybody was talking around it, but the Terrence Crawford fans is like, make your move. Do what Sean Porter did. Sean Porter was way less than you. And Sean Porter put it together. Him and Bud. Pick up the phone. Like, you mean to tell me you can't get Terrence Crawford's number and y'all can't put that fight together? Then you move over to the IBF. Then you put out these reports that you put in paperwork. Yeah, Boots trying to fight Earl. In what universe? Because it always seemed funny that you put in paperwork to become as mandatory when he actually had a fight going on. And if I look at it, you never put that paperwork, and it was like never really mandated here and there. So you keep doubling, tripling down off the mandatories, but yet and still we see these examples to where a person can pick up the phone. Yo, I would love to fight you. Oh, word? Okay, after this fight, we get it in. Done deal. I have no problem believing that Errol Spence would have obliged you at any point after any of those other belts, especially after Terrence Crawford went the other way with Avanesian. That was your time to go after Errol Spence. There was that Keith Thurman thing, but it was if you were really gonna make your mark and show us you was that one, that's when you would have did it. So you get the easy belt, then you do some more easy stuff, then you demand that you're a pound for pound fighter, and after you demand you're a pound for pound fighter, people will start to buy it. Then you find a promotional company that's going to promote you as that thing. You know what I'm saying? I have to ask the question. When Shakur was on Top Rank, did you hear all the crazy shit that they say about Shakur when he was on Top Rank? No.
Hell nah.
He was just a great young fighter. But he was in number 3, surprisingly, behind Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. But more so for me, you're behind Teofimo Lopez. Bob had more faith in Teo than he had in you because Teo was showing us something. You got up to a certain weight class and then you got a little bit sketchy, which then makes me believe about the thing that Bob said. Yeah, there was plenty of fights, but he didn't want to fight them.
Yep.
So if those are coming from Bob and he's talking about big bro, what is little bro going to do? And little bro is moving way more fucked up than big bro. So then that tells you something, but the critical thinking part of the fans, they won't go there. They'll blame O'Shaq. Tell us O'Shaq is clout chasing. And O'Shaq right now is just sitting there, you know, like a venomous spider on the web. Like I've already spun the web. The minute that man touched down at 35, it's you done fell in my trap. It's gonna happen. But either way, the way you moving is goofy. Oh, Shaq. Well, then people were like, well, you know, Shakur and Zuffa. Okay, all right. Zuffa still hasn't made that announcement. They made the announcement for Berlanga, Hitchens, and Obitaya. They made the announcement for Ryo. Why can't they make the announcement for what would be described as their biggest deal? That's like Rock Nation being Rock Nation, but they wouldn't announce the fact that they signed LeBron James or Serena Williams or Clarissa Shields at one point. No, we didn't sign none of those. We didn't sign none of those people. We didn't even fuck with Andre Ward, so we can make him, you know, somewhat popular. So, you know, he had some leverage going into the Kovalev fight. No, we don't need to promote that. This shit is not word of mouth advertising. This shit is big money. This is millions of dollars on the line. So I gotta respect Shaq in his pursuit. I gotta respect Shaq in everything he's saying, and he's just exposing everybody on such a level. On such a level, it's like he's exposing you on a molecular level. Because even if I look at you face to face and then put you under the microscope, I'm still gonna see the same thing. You scary as fuck. And the machine behind you is just trying to gaslight everybody and tell them, no, he's not scary. He's just, you know, he's just at the point where he can pick and choose what he wants to do. And I'm just like, no, I'm not buying that. No, it's not today. Number 2, the buyer boxing. It just goes to the same thing that I've been talking about. Like 1 and 2 are hand in hand, because O'Shaq is showing you the biasness, and then there is the biasness when it comes down to even other fighters. I looked at some of these other talking points about Boots and Xander, and I'm like, okay, so at this point, how am I supposed to give Boots his props? And even if it comes down to Virgil, how can I give him his props if he beats Virgil? Because Virgil is going to be right there for him. Virgil has already been dropped by what's the name, and we saw that fight. You feel what I'm saying? Boachuk, and at the end of the day, we all saw that fight, and many people feel like Boachuk won that fight. If we're automatically feeling that, okay, stylistically, Boots is gonna run through this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like AB told AB, then it is what it is. It is what it is. I can't give him the props of saying, all right, this is the run. You know what I'm saying? For whatever the situation is with Fundora, hey, listen, that's not a good look right now, young man. And I hope that's just something that's not really confirmed. It's just rumored or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you know, that's your thing. But back to Boots and Xander, it was Xander's too young, too green, doesn't have enough power, inexperienced, doesn't have great footwork, keeps his head on the line, all of this other stuff. Xander goes in there, takes it straight to Boots. The same thing Shakur did with Zepeda, the same thing Devin did with Brian Norman. You feel what I'm saying? The same thing David Benavidez did with Anthony Yard. You know, you have all of these examples of where guys just stepped a little outside of their normal boxing styles and went right after the guy. Those three situations, it worked for those other guys, but it just didn't work out for the young phenom in what they were saying about Xander. It just didn't work. So now all of a sudden, Xander quit. So if I take everything y'all said about Xander and then add into he's a quitter, what props can I give Boots that y'all turn around and say, if I'm saying what I'm saying now, they'll turn around and say, well, you know, basically you just a hater. No, I'm not a hater. I'm listening to you and asking you a question based on your own philosophy and all your own talking points. Then how do you give Boots credit for that? Because he won against what opposition? What answers were what questions did you have, and what answers? What were the answers? For some people, they may feel, well, you know, I may have a little bit more answers, more questions for Boots, but I got some answers from Xander. Xander showed me something, but because they want to do, because that's more of what we're seeing, the hitman of it is going to now tell y'all, no, Xander quit. Oh, so now you're going to get distracted by the Xander quit conversation instead of praising what Xander was able to accomplish. The weaker fighter, the younger fighter, the inexperienced guy, the guy who just wasn't ready. It was too soon. All of those talking points leading up to that thing nearly knocked this motherfucker out in an epic third round. A third round that you can say likened to that Tommy Hearns Marvin Hagler round, where they was just slugging it out. Bam, 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 bam. I did not see one motherfucker in their seat. I wasn't even in my seat. I done jumped up and pushed my chair back and was like, oh shit, oh. That's my reaction during that third round. Like, oh my God, he about to do, is it? Oh shit. But we can't give Xander that credit. It took two people to make that third round epic. Not one, two. And this is the biasness. Because the biasness tells you can't give Xander credit, because if you give Xander credit, then you're shitting on Boots. And I'm like, that shit makes no sense. That's why people can't give Tank credit, because they feel if they give Tank credit, then they're shitting on Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Two dudes that are not even in the guy's weight class anymore. If he decides to come back at 35. That shit is madness to me. And I'll just get to number 3 real quick. Ryan co-signing Devin beats Boots. That's funny as hell to me. I was just like, I like Devin Haney, but where Boots is in a comfortable weight class. When he said, I love this weight class, I have to listen to the fighter when he says that. Will he move in a way that says, I love this weight class? See, that's when you say some shit like that, then I have to look at you and say, oh, really? Because I know me, I love to cook, and I'm always researching. I'm always, doing stuff within the restaurant space. Just like you, you're a gym rat and everything. But if it came down to it, and I got a phone call and someone said, you know what? We want you to cook in this situation with Rene Redzepi, or you're going to cook Virgilio Martinez or one of these guys. And both of these guys had the #1 restaurant in the world, hit that marker, 50 world's best. I'm going to do it. Say, fuck it. I'm going to put what I think I know about this stuff. And if I got to go up there and it's a contest, I get there and they say, oh, no. This was actually a cooking contest. I'm not going to turn around and say, nah, I wasn't ready. I'm going to get even more hyped and say, all right, let me see the pantry. Let me see what ingredients you got. Do you have any garms or fermentations so I can match some of the shit that they may have brought with them? Because I know they brought a lot more shit with them because they got the machine behind them. Me, I'm not asking for a rehydration clause. I'm asking for, give me the keys to the pantry. Let me see. You feel what I'm saying? Let me see if my mind can be creative enough to make it an even playing field. And win, lose, or draw, all I gotta say is, when it comes down to shit like this, I'd rather lose to greatness than to lose to mediocrity. Because if I lose to mediocrity, that shit is gonna fuck with me every day. I'm gonna get, I'm gonna develop shit. And if Ryan is trolling Dev about this type of stuff, Dev, then why don't you go over there and fight Ryan? Shut him the fuck up. Say, stop trolling. Take all the other bullshit off and just give us the fight we've been asking for. At 47, it's a unification. If you're forced to do this thing with Keyshawn, then do it. And for me, Keyshawn playing the games, it's still coming across pretty obvious to me that, hey, listen, man, you trying to get this belt off this guy without fighting 1 fucking minute in that ring. You're going to let the business of boxing elevate you to champion. And if that's the game that's going to be played and he's not being whatever, or he wants to take it to purse bid, if he's stupid enough to play these games with percentages, when that shit go to purse bid, what the fuck do you think them percentages going to look like, Keyshawn? They don't get any better for you. They actually get 1,000 times worse. And that's when you have no leverage, because it is what it is. You have no belts, you have no leverage. Take what Dev and them is going to offer you, make the fight, and fight your best. Be me. And it's the first time I'm telling somebody to do what I do. Be me. Just say, all I want to see is the pantry. I'll fight you. I'll get in there. I'm not afraid of hot pot handles, because I cook. I know that's one of the hazards of the job, a hot pot handle. Hot potatoes and shit like that. Sharp knives. Iron sharpens iron and all of that. That's what I do. So at the end of the day, man, I just say it like this. Keep doing what you're doing, Ryan. Keep your foot on that man's neck. Make us believe that Devin Haney doesn't want the rematch with you. Let us believe he's going to make every excuse. He's going to look at Tank Davis. He's going to look at Keyshawn. He might even look at, Alexander Usyk. He might look at Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? He may even call out David Benavidez. Anything but to fucking fight you in a rematch. Make us believe that. Do that. Expose the shit out of this dude. Because right now, I'm letting it be known. All the big names in boxing, if you're not running towards smoke, I'm just not a fan of yours like that no more. I'll call your fights as what they are, but you'll mean as much to me as a champion as I can't even think. I can't even make that a thing right now because there's so many other fighters I respect, and I don't want to take somebody's name that I respect or is on the cusp of doing something big and then have to compare them with the bullshit that you're doing or you two guys are doing. I'm not with the celebrity boxing anymore. I don't want to see the celebrity boxing matches. I want to see real smoke. Abdullah Mason versus Albert Bell on short notice for a belt. Yeah, there's familiarity, so it's not quite as dangerous as people may tend to think it is. But it's still, you gotta fuck around and face that man after you were preparing mentally and physically for somebody else. A different body type. Defense was different. Sparring was different. Now you have to basically change that shit up in 2 weeks. That's going to show us the type of champion Abdullah Mason is if it's an end still. And when we look at all three of these housekeeping, Shaq and Abdullah is showing you something about real boxing and fuck that celebrity boxing matches. The real housewives or the real boxing wives of boxing. I'm not watching those dramas no more. I don't want to see Twitter beefs and shit like that. I don't care. One person is trying to make a fight with you and you talking about somebody's mother. Shut the fuck up. I've lost it for you, bro. I've lost it for you. I'm done with you. See you. Sayonara. Peace. That's just the way I feel, and that's where I'm gonna call it, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna just I'm gonna talk about one thing. When Boots was behind Bud and Earl, he was a victim of that looking back. See, but he wasn't the only one. Stanionis was there, Virgil was there. They weren't looking back for none of them guys because at that time, that was the biggest fight to be made. That's almost just like at one point it was Shakur and Tank. It was like, okay, if it wasn't them and it was getting in the way of that, then yeah, you'll be a victim of the looking back. Now, those are the only scenarios other than the Beterbiev and Bivol and their rematches or their fight. Those were the only examples to where, or Bivol getting a rematch with Canelo. Those probably about the only situations where it's like, nah, I'm not looking back. Like, that don't make no sense. That don't have nothing to do with what these guys are doing now. Like, in your quest for being at the top, like you say, oh no, I'm not like if Emiliano said, no, I'm not gonna fight Tito. You can't play that looking back with Tito. And Tito can't be like, nah, I ain't gonna fight Vargas. I want Shakur. Like, no, if that fight is not on deck with Gary Antoine or Shakur or Dalton Smith, then you can't play the looking back game. I understand when people play that looking back game, but it has to be stamped where it's like, no, you can't. But now these guys, they want to do that. Like what Keyshawn is doing. This man tiptoe, him and Devin, they both tiptoed past 140. I mean, Devin, he stamped himself with the Brian Norman fight at welterweight, but they played that looking back game at 40. You'll take a washed ass Jose Ramirez coming from getting a beat down by Barbosa. Barbosa ain't even that good, but he washed Jose, and then you fought him. And so now it's all this, oh no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, you don't want to fight. You clout chase this man, Tank. He clout chased Tank since the beginning of time. That's how he made his living. He was like the single white female, like that movie. If you see single white female, like that's what he was doing with Tank. And now the offer is there, and now it's every reason. But they saying everything but let's fight. Their same slogan. Keyshawn doing it with Devin right now. You was barking. You was that dog. Arf, 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 arf. You was barking. Now it's like, okay, cool. They mandated. What are we talking about? It ain't no looking back. It ain't no excuses. It ain't no. It's fight. And I'm gonna transition. Oh, the only other thing is, it's funny how Bud. Everybody loved what Bud was about. Everybody loved what Bud did at the end of his career. He just jumped. He jumped from 54 up to 60. He took a year off. He jumped up to 68. Went up there, put hands and feet on Canelo. Nobody looks at that example and say, you know what? I'm gonna do some shit like that. That's why I'm telling Tank, hey, if you're gonna go fight Devin, do that shit the way Bud did it. So they can't take away from like the way they take away from your legacy. Because I was arguing with a dummy in the comment section before I finally said, you know what? You just want to argue like a little hoe. I was saying, listen, go up there and fight this man at the weight class that he want with no rehydration. Now, when it comes down to the money and the split and all that, you got every right to say whatever because you that guy in that aspect. But do the same thing that Bud did. That way they can't take away from it. But it's odd how he gets no credit for stopping the guy that put hands and feet on Devin, stopping the guy that put hands and feet on the guy that he stopped in Ryan, which was Rolly, and stopping the guy Ryan, who put hands and feet on Devin and got stopped by Tank, got a belt off of Barrios. He stopped all three of them. And they were champs at 147. You can't name one person on Keyshawn's resume that's done that. You can't name one person on Shakur's resume that done that. But if you listen to Max Kellerman, Shady McCoy, Tim Bradley, Akin Barak, you name it, the hitman of this boxing shit, Tank ain't fought nobody. That can't be, like, you can't have it both ways, bro.
So
I take away all the nobodies that Tank fought, all of the nobodies, then who would people be fighting? Now, I know he's inactive and people don't, you know what I'm saying? People say, oh, he inactive, he need to get his personal life together, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. That's fair. He do need to get, whatever he need to get in order. But at the same time, we look at the way we do now and how we are critical of the ring and resumes and who people actually fought, then it ain't no way around that. That's a straitjacket. You can't click the link, or shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna transition to the meat and potatoes.
I just wanted to say this real quick. In that aspect, I get what you're saying, to where some of the fans were saying it was looking back. But for me, when I'm listening to some of the Boots fans out there, like the Dirks and the Breadmans and everything, people like Breadman and Dirk were like, nah, Boots isn't a tune-up for Errol Spence. Boots isn't this and that. These people were actually running out here saying they think that Boots could beat Errol Spence at that time. You feel what I'm saying? And I was one person like, if y'all think that young man could beat him, then have that motherfucker make the fight. Press Earl to really make that fight. Because for me, it was the situation when Earl went to go see Al and that little thing was clipped. That little conversation was exposed, where he was like, he don't know what's really going on. And Earl was like adamant, I'm not trying to fuck with Keith Thurman. For me, if you're going to be Boots and Bozy Ennis and you're going to do all of this stuff, that's when you go after Earl Spence. Put your name in that mix by saying something. Not being all quiet and letting people like Dirk and fucking Breadman talk for you. Let you come out and drop a video like, look, here's the deal, bro. We seen you have whatever. We've been trying to get a fight with you. Fight me. You know what I'm saying? The same way Shushu was kept Inouye's name in his mouth, and then people were like, Shushu just capping. And for us in the beginning was like, yeah, that's what the young fighter's supposed to do. Shushu got his belt and he's like literally like, look, I want that fight. That shit was never capped for me. I really, really want that fight. So then you like said it so much, you really believe in the fight. And that's the only thing I was asking the Boots at the time, using if I'm gonna use a hindsight argument and just look back at the opportunities that was there. So at the end of the day, for me, when Bud went to go fight Avanesian, if we're gonna play the look back game, and if it was somebody on that side, I'd be like, bro, I got to give you pushback, because if that's the case, how do you see Boots versus Avanesian versus Boots versus Errol, Bud versus Avanesian? Avanesian is a look back fight for Terrence Crawford, but it's something that had him stay busy. This is not a look back fight for Errol Spence. It's not even a tune up because of the eye test and the way people were talking about Boots back then. So that's where I was always like making these arguments, but people were just like, nah, but it's, and I'm like, all right, then forget it, man. Y'all not seeing it, man. I'm just questioning the way the young man's moving, because I keep saying these are missed opportunities. And if it's an in-house fight, you're on Showtime. Showtime shows its fights in conjunction with PBC. That's the promoter. So
yeah, I get it because it was slightly different energy, and there are little nuances to it, because it was, as an Earl fan at the time, looking at it, I was saying, man, that's kind of weird that they put in paperwork for Earl, but then he was in that Bud line. But then at the same time, everybody knew that no matter what, Bud wasn't gonna fight Boots at that time.
Yeah,
and that was evident. Even when that strap got when they relieved him of that strap and they took it, and Boots and them was like, "I got your strap." We already knew Bud wasn't in the business of doing it. It was always gonna be a hindsight of 2020 thing with it, but the energy was different because he put in paperwork for the Earl. But he didn't stay in that line. Virgil got out of that line too. You know what I'm saying? Virgil got out of that line too. So it was like he did shit with that Maurice Hooker fight. It was like, yeah. And I was all for it. Because at the same time, I was keeping the same. I was saying, listen, Canelo need to give Benavidez an opportunity to pass the torch. Bud need to give Boots the opportunity to pass the torch. Got a whole video about it. And people was just like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's just little nuances, but you're right as far as the energy, because it was different energy for Earl versus it was for Bud, because I think it was like the Komodo dragon thing where they nip you on your heels and wait for that poison to set in, and they just track you and stalk you and wait for you to fall over and be sick. That's what they were doing with Earl, because a lot of people knew outside of the ring there was some things going on. He wasn't the same Earl, and so yeah, it was different energy. So
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get what you were saying.
Yeah.
But as far as this meat and potatoes, man, I wanted to do this justice because for me, and the way I look at it, right now, Abdullah Mason is the people's champ. And I gave this example the other day, and I used the vein I was in was replacement fights. We had Tank, who was getting ready to fight Rolly. His replacement fight was Rolly came up on those allegations, so he got knocked off. Tank being who he was, he could have got anybody. And he could have used the excuse like anybody. He could have got an HVAC tech. He could have did anything. He chose Ice Sock Pitbull Cruz. And at the time, people didn't know him, but they knew, people who was watching, they knew that he was a tough customer or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not like pretty much a one-dimensional type guy, but in that dimension, just like Earl. People thought he was a one-dimension, but in his dimension and on the top of his game, he was beating multifaceted fighters, boxers, boxer punchers, beating at everything because he will overwhelm you with the style. But in his replacement fight, he chose Isaac Pitbull Cruz. You slide over and do the typewriter over to a guy like Shakur Stevenson. When he had his replacement fight, he could have got a young Cuban guy living in United Arab Emirates, and Didier Herrera, a Cuban southpaw with punching power. Not that polished, still kind of raw, but got power and flair and personality. He chose an electrician. Well, Abdullah Mason, in People Champ fashion, was getting ready to fight Cordina, former champ, UK fighter. Had a little bit of buzz. He was going to share the ring with Shakur Stevenson, coming off of a knockout loss to Anthony Kakasi, a guy that's down there sharing the belt along with Oshaki Foster. Well, Kakasi stopped him. He was getting ready to fight Shakur. That fight falls through. Gonna find out Cordina got a case going on. He got in some legal issues, and that's why he really didn't get it. And up pops the name Albert Bell. Not only is he an Ohio native, but they're also pretty cool, and they have sparring history. And you know what Abdullah Mason said? The show must go on. I got an appetite for smoke. That's his late replacement. So the late replacement in this instance is some can argue that the Tank, even in the Tank fight, some can argue that depending on how you look at it and what you value in boxing, the Isaac Pitbull Cruz might have been a tougher out, especially on a short notice when you're not prepared for a guy like that. That Madonna-esque type style, armadillo style is what I call it. That he might have been a tougher out than Rolly. Well, we can reason that Albert Bell, I know in my opinion, with the physical attributes, him being as tall as he is, him being as surgical as he is, as far as being a pure surgical boxer, being tenured, older, all of that, no losses. This is a tougher out than Joe Cordina. You know, and Abdullah Mason is running towards the smoke. He didn't figure out a way to go get a plumber or HVAC tech or an electrician like Shakur. He's running towards the smoke. We're 48 hours away, and this fight is on deck. And they kept it cordial. I like how Albert Bell said, he said, listen, we know each other. When I got the information, he said, it took me by surprise, but I talked to my pops. Then I talked to the Masons. And I was like, man, we're going to do it. So both of these guys, no friend zone. This is an example. No friend zone. They're not going to say, oh, man, we cool. We not. No. It's not none of that. This is a pure example of, okay, if my late replacement, I'm going to get the fans something even better than what the fans had expected. A native who's a friend, who also, we have a sparring history, and I always talk about familiarity. And familiarity always rears its ugly little head in some crazy ways. We've seen familiarity with Tank and Lamont Roach, going back to their amateur days. We've seen familiarity with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Game 7. Ryan smacked the shit out of Devin. Adverse finding with the Oster ring, but we seen what happened. But there was familiarity. There's familiarity in this fight, which is going to make this one way interesting. Let alone they're in Cleveland. You got Shushu defending his strap. We got Tiger Johnson with a secondary strap defending his strap. We got Derek Scooter Davis on the undercard. But this is going to be the fight that's the cherry on top, the creme de la creme. And so I wanted to get into this and say, man, I salute Abdullah Mason for the energy. He's definitely a breath of fresh air. He suffered adversity. Even when he got knocked down, he didn't come out on the internet and have all his folks crying and whining and talk about, why y'all always talking about me getting knocked down? His haters still bring that up. He didn't say that. He said, man, when I got knocked down, I was like, damn, if the ref count for me, he's like, that was the first time I was ever in that situation. He said, I got back up. He said, it was just an adjustment. He took that shit so well, so mature. You know what I'm saying? He moved on. He wound up stopping this guy. We ain't really heard shit from his camp. They not blah, blah, blah. Seeing his father say, listen, man, yeah, you got knocked down. It happened, man, but it's okay. You all right? You good? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all right, well, cool. Let's do this. Went right back to their game plan. Boom, ping, pow. Got his guy out of there. This is the kind of energy from a young champ that we need. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm calling him the people's champ. How you feel about this fight being 48 hours away, AC?
Man, this fight right here is, this gives me the the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder first fight type vibes. Like, I see that now that people are getting hip to it, and I think the casuals may have gotten hip to it. I would probably want to find out, like, if there was somebody who had data about this thing. Since this fight was announced, how many times has Albert Bell's name been either Googled or people have looked for his highlight reels? You feel what I'm saying? Because it just seems as though the energy just blew up. It's like there was a crowd and people were hearing, okay, we have an announcement to make. Abdullah Mason versus Cordina is not going to happen. But, you know, as they're saying, but somebody lit off a stick of dynamite. Not dangerous, but just like, boom, just something to rattle the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? For some people, it went off. You heard it, you jumped, but you just didn't realize the magnitude of how loud it was and how it reverberated until you know, started to just sit back and be like, yo, my ears are still ringing. Like, yo, that shit must have been loud as hell. So it's that type of thing for me, that it's something that crept up and then it just exploded. Because 48 hours away, even though, you know, some people are still trying to live off last weekend's fights and still drop content about that, and, you know, still try to eat off that plate. You know what I'm saying? All right, the cake is gone. It's just nothing but crumbs and a little bit of icing. How much are you gonna eat that? And then after that, are you gonna tear it in little pieces and suck cardboard? Just so you can be like, yo, it's still flavoring this cardboard. You know what I'm saying? Let it go. It's a done deal. This fight is on a different tier, but it has the same sort of questions about it. People have questions about Mason. Albert Bell is the fighter that you want him to fight so you can get those answers. Yeah, you could slug, you can go through drama, you can get cracked and get up, but can you really box? Can you really box? Can you be the boxer, the puncher boxer, the fighter? You feel what I'm saying? And this is like the trifecta for Abdullah. This is the thing that'll tell us, all right, this young man is complete. He just has to now take the pieces that he has, because we already know the puzzle. We already know how many pieces are there in the puzzle. Now he just has to put it all together. But this is a complete puzzle right here. I don't have any more things that I really have to look at. For Albert Bell, it's what he said. He was like, look, the sparring was sparring, you know. When it came down to fighting Cruz or Abdullah Mason, where I'm at in my career and where everything is at, it was a no-brainer. You go for your biggest opportunity. And all the energy I'm reading for him is like, you know, he coming to show up and show out. He coming to box. And this is where we're gonna get a lot of answers. Can your boxing, you know, put Abdullah in a bad place? Outpoint Abdullah, make Abdullah look, you know, the way Abdullah's been making other people look, ordinary. And, you know, outside of that, can you hurt him? Just all of these type of questions. And for Abdullah, can you get to him using boxing? And let's say in this type of fight, are you going to try to box the more experienced boxer? Are you going to do or going with the same mindset that happened with Sam Nooks? But here's the crazy part, because your family was telling you to box him, just box him. What are they going to tell you against Albert Bell? Because boxing him means now you got to play into Albert Bell's strongest points: experience, number of rounds, different looks. So this
Yeah.
fight right here is woo. I don't know, bro. I like it. I
Now,
love it. I don't. I honestly, I don't want to pick because I think it's just going to be one of those things that 48 hours away we're just going to be discussing like Sunday. If we're true fans of the sport, just what a great spectacle it was. What a privilege it was to watch these two men get in the ring and put on the show that they put on.
right. Now it is the fourth, but do you see fireworks with this fight?
Yeah, I see spurts of fireworks because Albert Bell got that dog in him like that. I spent pretty much like when I just wanted to take a break from what I was doing, I spent that just looking at Albert Bell highlights, trying to find as much information about Albert Bell and interviews, see who he's talking to and stuff like that, and looking at what looking at old stuff from Mason, and I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna be fireworks in this jump off. These dudes are gonna be trading in spots. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely going to be looking to trade in spots because Albert Bell does throw combinations. He's a combination boxer. He'll overwhelm you, you know, with just coming forward, using that long reach, probing you, and then bow, hit you down, hit you low, and keep the same probe out, and then hit you up top, and then spin out on you. You feel what I'm saying? So, um, I would probably say maybe early on, 3, 4, we might get some exchanges. Then it's gonna go through a boxing period. Then around 7, 8, and maybe 9, some 3 rounds of some exchanges, and then the championship rounds. I don't know how that's gonna play out. I don't know if that's gonna be a bunch of exchanges or just uh chess match with leading combinations. It's going to
So,
come down to somewhat maybe lead hand control and foot placement.
so
But
I know you don't want to make a pick, but do you see any knockdowns, and do you see this going the distance? Do you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I just took a uh, uh, um, a dramatic pause just to say knockdowns. I if I think I'm gonna see a knockdown, I could probably see both of them knocking each other down. I've just never seen Albert Bell like get hit cleanly like that to where he's like all over the place or anything like that, or get caught with a flash punch. But Abdullah Mason does have a viciousness when he throws shots. You know what I'm saying? And if he gets off a good combination, I think, you know, he could do some damage to Bell. Uh, do I see Bell overwhelming Mason to where Mason just needs to take a knee to reset? I can possibly see that happening. You know what I'm saying? But if someone was to hold a gun to my head, I would say no. No knockdowns. Yeah, I'll see people in trouble, but I also think the fight goes the distance.
Yeah, they got Abdullah at a -390 right now, and Albert Bell at a plus 285. So they're leaning towards Abdullah, but the under over is 10.5. They've been on that 10.5 lately. I would definitely take the over. I don't know if I see a stoppage in this one. But if Abdullah get the KO, it's plus 100. And of course, if Albert Bell get the KO, it's plus 1,000.
Wow.
So people gonna make some money, man. I'm like you, man. I'm gonna go with Abdullah, even though I like Albert Bell, and it's not me being malicious with me saying, oh man, fuck Bell, because I've seen a lot of people trying to make this shit like some red versus blue, and it's not really like that. This is just a great fight. The people win regardless. I don't think no matter who get their hand raised, there's going to be a loser. You are going to have an overwhelming group of people that say, oh, I told y'all Abdullah was overrated and this and that, what I'm saying, if he's not to secure the victory. But this is what we want from the young champs. I think this is one of the best tests. This is going to do wonders for both of them, especially if nobody make any business decisions like Tio and put their hands in their pockets. I have seen going to the undercard, I have seen some people saying Shushu is overrated, and I don't know if this dude was trolling, but it was a couple people that were just, I'm like, man, boxing fans are so hard to please. But Shushu looked ready. Tiger looked ready. I think Tiger want to make a statement in his quest for 47. Derek Scooter, he's saying that DC in the house. He's saying we're going to take over the show. It's going to be the Shark Show, the Shark season. So this card is just lit. I think boxing fans are going to win. And it's a gift and a curse coming behind the fight last week. But I think that the card is definitely going to live up to expectation. The card is lit. I think that I think this one of them cards was just like last week. All the favorites going to win. Now, we always get one upset. You know what I'm saying? If there was one, this might be the fight because of the skill that Bell has, the familiarity and all of that. It might be the main event. If I had to say it was going to be an upset, but like I see this as one of the ones where all the favorites win. That's probably the safest bet. I'm excited to see his brothers. I'm excited to see all of his brothers fight because you got Abdurrahim and Ibrahim fighting, and I've been anticipating seeing them because I haven't really seen them fight. And I'm like, man, if we do it like this, I know they got some of them same skills and attributes. So we win all the way around. I think it's going to be an excellent night of boxing, man. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to get caught up. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it's one of them things where I'm not going to let these dumbass fans and fanboys and girls and the only fans get me, off in a negative space. I'm just going to zone out, enjoy all the fights, you know what I'm saying, and just, it's just appreciate it.
I'm with this fight and the familiarity, the familiarity of it. I'm in a different space with the familiarity. I look at it as this. Okay, I'm young, right? I'm facing a dude that's older than me. We've been sparring. Yeah, we got it in. Yeah, he did put me onto some stuff. He might have got the best of me the first few sparring sessions or whatever. But as I came up, he noticed what was going on. Here's the thing. You're going to keep looking at me as Lil Mason, even though I got the belt. And you may be looking at me like, yeah, I'm food. So the familiarity part of me is going to show is if I got what my fans think that I have upstairs, I'm going to remember some of your tells. And when you bring those tells to the fight, I'm going to make you pay for every last one of them. Familiarity is Deontay Wilder. When I'm thinking of it in the sense of this fight, it's Deontay Wilder and uh, it wasn't Helenia. That's who he knocked out, right? That was his sparring partner. It's
Hellenius.
yeah, Hellenius. It's some of the sparring partners of AJ. You know, it's uh, um, the familiarity and some of the things that they were saying Benavidez had. I don't remember the guy's name that was sparring with David Benavidez, but he basically walked through the dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, but for me, when I'm looking at the young, hungry lion and or the veteran, this is the way the familiarity could play out in the sense of where you was talking about it earlier to whereas we seen some situations to where guys had familiarity and it just made for a one-sided fight. So there's part of me feeling like there could be some of that here. But I kind of feel like the pessimistic boxing fan wants to say I think it's going to be more even. But the realist part of the boxing fan tells me it's more likely probably going to be one-sided depending on who has the control. So I still think it's going to go to a decision, but it's going to go to a one-sided decision. Whoever wins this fight is absolutely going to pretty much, I think, dominate the fight and just let everybody know where they stand. As to the undercards, upset wise, it'll be hard for me to say that Bell upset Abdullah Mason, and it'll hard for me to say Mason upset Bell. So that's the fight I don't see as the upset. Maybe a fight that Tiger Johnson, maybe something with one of the younger brothers. You feel what I'm saying? Maybe the fight with what's his name, the Shark. But I'm just not like I'm not getting like the upset vibe in that because that familiarity scenario and just looking at it through history, it's pretty much always gave us a one-sided fight.
Except for just the example I'm gonna give. It's two examples. We had familiarity with Xander Zayas and Abbas Baru.
Yeah,
That was partners. We also had familiarity with Boychuk and Virgil.
yeah,
And Virgil was coming in there like he was about to wreck shop. Now we saw with our eyes, Boychuk dropped him twice, and he still got his hand raised. And people say Virgil outboxed him, even though Virgil one of my guys. But we saw Boychuk. The consensus over here was that Boychuk won that fight, but that was familiarity. That's why I say it's weird because even when you heard Benavidez and he took the same approach that Virgil was taking with that Zerto fight, and we've seen what happened with Zerto, but he's saying the same thing with Bivol, but we haven't seen the outcome of that fight yet. So that's why I say it's with familiarity, it show up in different ways. And like the other day, not to drag this out, but the other day, what I alluded to was this is going to come down to who's going to take the risk. I think Abdullah knows, and I think that Abdullah still has. I think he learned something from that Noakes fight because he spoke to that. He said, "Yeah," he said, "I chose the fight in ways." He said, "And it's something that you can learn from." So I'm thinking he's going to be smarter. But if I had to put the chips down and say, "Okay, who's going to take the risk?" It's going to be Abdullah. He's going to take more risks, I think. So I think, and that could go good or bad. If it's calculated right, then he can do what he always do. But the track record says that Albert Bell is going to do what he do. He's going to go in there and box. You know what I'm saying? So it comes down to, is he going to do enough to get the judges to say, oh, you did enough to relieve this man of his straps? Or is he going to do what he always do and just go in there and just thoroughly outbox this guy? I ain't going to say play it safe, but just thoroughly box. I know Abdullah going to take risks. He going to step on the gas. That's just in his nature. And that's what we actually love about him. So it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? I don't really foresee any upsets. But if there was, that's why I say it might be that, because with the familiarity, we don't know how these guys are going to show up.
Yeah.
We've seen adverse reactions, you know what I'm saying? So that's it, man. I think we did this one justice, man. Housekeeping was a little longer than usual, but really it's not something where I really even want to divide these brothers. I think the fans win with this one. And the card we're getting and all the talent we get to see, it's gonna be a great night of boxing, man. And that's I just wanted to put an episode dedicated just for them. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we do get some fireworks.
Yeah. Me, I honestly feel that with the nature of these fights and some of these young, hungry guys that are on this card and stuff like that, even if you got a belt or don't, I honestly think this card is going to be better than last weekend's card and stuff like that, just because of the nature of these young fighters and what they feel is on the line at this time in their careers. You know what I'm saying? Shushu got a belt. He's trying to make his run now. I'm gonna go back and watch the interview of Bob talking about Shushu and supporting him in his career. Something's going on with Inoue, not going up to 26 now. So I just want to see what all of that's about. And other than that, I just think when you look at the nature of the people that are on this card, everybody's about that action.
Yep.
So it just tells you so much of what you're gonna expect. I would not be surprised, if the card is just moving fast and they got to go into these weird plays, because it's like, yeah, we didn't expect these like guys to just be stopping people this fast. You know what I'm saying? This will be, like the PBC cards of old, of when both the Charlos and Tank and all the heavy hitters were like on the same card. Dudes was just knocking motherfuckers out. You feel what I'm saying? And it was just like, God damn, that card was crazy. It was 99% knockouts. The only person that didn't get a knockout was this person. So at the end of the day, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And great show, man. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah, we'll wrap, man. But enjoy your evening, man. Appreciate all of the input today, man. And then enjoy your weekend, man. Enjoy
you too, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate
you. For sure.
All right, man. Got another one in the books, y'all. Packed with nutritional value. I know we tend to go off and get passionate, man. I love boxing, man. I want to preserve it, and I don't really I like the space we're boxing in, because if you look at last weekend, this weekend, I think this year it started off with a bang. It was a little bit low. Now it's picking up, and if people get their stuff together, man, and they actually sign a dotted line, man, and get off of Twitter, we'd be in a great space. I'm always going to salute Abdullah Mason, man. He's carrying the torch right now all the way around, no matter what it is. He can accept criticism. He don't got like a crazy ass fan base. He's seeking towards the smoke. He's not ducking and dodging. He got an appetite. He's putting his family, his brothers on. It's just good to watch. He's cerebral. He's an action-packed fighter. He know how to conduct himself in interviews. He don't get baited and trapped into questions. Just a good young man, you know, that I think we can really, a realistic model of hard work, dedication, you know, work ethic, things like that, a combination of that, man. He's a people's champ. That's why he got my fight of the year last year. He's putting on for those guys like Shushu said, man. It's like Bone Thugs and Biggie. It's a big collaboration. And like AC said, man, it's gonna be fireworks because all of them guys, it seems like everybody can put somebody lights out. You know, I just respect Albert Bell. I acknowledge his skill set, and I know that he is a pure boxer. He's nice with it, surgical with it, and you know, this is a time where you can give yourself permission to just be a fan. Just be a fan of the fights, enjoy the fights. And I can't see. We just gotta keep our fingers crossed. We got the weigh-ins tomorrow, right? And let's pray to the boxing God that nothing freaky happened, nothing stupid, crazy. We've seen people fall and hurt their ankles, you know, trying to make weight the night before. We've seen people make weight and then after that they declare that they're sick and all that. So let's just put out some positive vibes. That everybody's on their A game. Nobody missed weight. No drama. You know, just good, clean boxing. You know, we talked about a lot. Go back to the housekeeping. I always say, stop me when I'm lying. Request a link if you got something to get off your chest or you disagree with. You know, we keep it all the way boxing. We analyze all of these guys. We're critical of them all. You know, we know they get hit in the head for a living, so we don't berate them. We don't even talk about their personal lives for real, for real. We just keep it boxing and what we see, just like every other, like when we analyze quarterbacks, we analyze basketball players and shooting and we do the same thing with these boxers. We understand they're a one-man band and they might be sensitive about their stuff, but the biggest thing is the behavior outside the ring. If you're not speaking to that, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be bi. Let's not have it both ways. You know, silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport of boxing. You know, hopefully you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on. I always say, go where everybody know your name. They're always glad you came. They always sing your praise. Then come over here and see what we got to say. You know what I'm saying? You might walk away with something different or thinking and saying, you know what? Because that's what we're here for, to challenge your critical thinking skills. We don't really berate, belittle, and degrade boxers. We love them. You know what I'm saying? We respect them. We know that what they do is very dangerous, and it takes heart, skill, courage to do what they do. So respect them all. So salute to the boxers, man. Salute to the 300 and everybody who came through and showed love. Y'all know I can talk that boxing all day and all night, but we got some good fights on deck. You know what I'm saying? We look forward to them. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay. You want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.